Welcome, people, to this brand new episode of Tig Ol Bitties.
Tig Ol Bitties. Tig Ol Bitties. Let me be your hormone.
Oh my god.
I don't know why that song just tickles me.
Is that Doja Cat?
Yeah. This is showing her feet online.
Listen, let her show her feet.
You know, if Doja Cat didn't make it, she would have been an OnlyFans.
You think so?
Hell yeah. I don't think she has another talent.
Is she like a streamer or something? Like a gamer? I don't know much about Doja Cat.
don't
But
know.
She online culture, kind of just wasting time, just in this weird. Because the funny thing is, a lot of people don't know that before TikTok and all these other stuff, there are all these like in between, kind of like a social media thing. You guys remember chat roulette?
Yeah.
Now it's called Omegle or
Yeah.
whatever.
Omegle!
Right. Like that
Tiny chat roulette, and then
Tiny Cam,
Tiny
or
Cam,
and you can have like 8-10 people in a room.
and
That's been a thing for a very long time.
Mhm.
They still exist. The other day I frequent those places. So pretty much what those people are doing is what Doja Cat was doing. It's just these weird websites you've never heard of, and because most of these they're so tiny, they don't really have like a staff to like
monitor them.
Yeah, like moderate anything or do anything. They're just so that's why you run into a lot of incels and crazy people. Just like, I mean, if you know how to navigate, well, you could find yourself a sex worker, from there. Which I'm like, yeah, it's like, I happened to find one, but it was in a chat of like 20 people, and I didn't know she was a sex worker until she mentioned that she was. I was like, this is an interesting conversation. And these are all people like who are like older and stuff like that. So it's very interesting. It's like it just kind of exists now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just people communicate with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what she was doing. Well, she did other things.
I want to know what she was doing on there because it's Doja Cat. Was she showing nipples?
No, feet.
No, feet.
Oh, just feet?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and talking about her fetishes and stuff like that. And it just turns out that the people she was talking to happened to be very racist,
Mhm.
or what's the right word for them?
Not good people.
No, they're weird. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. They don't do overt racism.
Yeah.
Oh, they're subtle with it?
Yeah, they're very subtle. So they
Mhm.
say certain things that sound like regular speech, but it's like dog whistles.
Yeah.
It's just they would come up with ways to counter things. Like it's like saying, BLM,
Mhm.
then there's, Blue Lives Matter. Like those are the people who come up with this shit.
Yeah.
Like 4chan motherfuckers. So like
Yeah.
that's who these people are. And that's how she got, sucked into stuff like that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like great people. Sorry, I'm spelling up the article for today's topic.
Oh Lord, here we go.
You ready?
Speaking of great people, who is this queen?
All right, so today's wonderful person goes by the moniker M.O. M.O. This lady is currently in a court battle with Geico.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And Geico might be on the hook to pay her $5.2 million.
Mm.
And the reason why is because she contracted HPV, aka the human papillomavirus,
Papaloma.
from a gentleman who they had sexual relations with in his vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And he neglected to tell her that he had a throat cancer tumor
Mm-hmm.
that had tested positive previously for HPV. And then she got it. So her whole argument was that due to his negligence, Geico is on the hook to cover her medical expenses and stuff like that because, they cover liability. And it happened in his vehicle, which is insured by them.
Mm-hmm.
And originally, she wanted to actually settle the case for just $1 million.
Mm.
Oh.
And
Okay.
Geico was like, nah, bro, that ain't got nothing to do with us because the car wasn't even moving or anything. It just happened in the car, but the car wasn't moving. It didn't crash, nothing like that.
Right.
You just went around and had, yourself a very good time, and you caught this disease. We ain't got nothing to do with that.
Right.
But the lady was adamant about her rights and the way she felt about it, and it went to arbitration.
Mm.
And an arbiter decided that, you know what? I agree with you. But instead of $1 million, she should get $5.2 million. Because not only are we going to, account for medical expenses, but we're going to account for her pain and suffering.
Mm.
Interesting.
So
And
now.
maybe it was bad sex too. So you gotta.
That was not mentioned. So MO has sued
Anguish.
MB and Geico for this. And Geico keeps appealing it. And I think they've lost twice already. And now they're
Damn.
they've lost twice, and now it's going to a federal court, like a federal jury or something like that, where they're going to decide whether Geico is actually on the hook for this or not. Because Geico argues that they didn't get a chance to argue to legally, they didn't get a chance to legally defend themselves in court.
Well, I mean, why would they? It's car insurance,
Yeah.
not pussy insurance. What the? It's they don't do medical insurance.
Well, they
It's-
do technically,
They do,
yeah, liability. Because
but how does that? But here's the thing, though. It wasn't her insurance. Does she even have Geico insurance?
no, the guy has Geico insurance.
So what I got to do with her?
because of where it happened. So technically, look at it like this way.
But Geico
I-
doesn't make cars.
Look,
It's okay.
look at it this way.
I'm confused.
So
I'm
if
so
I'm
confused.
driving a car, I'm fully insured,
Right.
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
If a person is in my vehicle
Mhm.
and they get injured while they're in my vehicle, my insurance company will pay for their medical expenses. That's the way fully liability and stuff like that works. Like they'll not
Okay.
only pay for me, but they'll also cover my passengers up to a certain amount, like 50 grand, 100 grand, 150 grand. I forgot how much it is, but like it varies depending on how much you pay for. But they'll cover it.
Okay.
I think in New York State, the bare minimum is you cannot drive a vehicle without having at least liability. So that means that if you take your car and you hit somebody else's car, your insurance will pay for their car, their medical expenses, and everything else, but they won't pay for anything for you. You're on your own with that.
Oh, okay.
That's the bare
Okay.
minimum according to New York State law. There's a couple of states that say, "Hey, whatever, it's your risk. You can drive whatever you want, no insurance."
Is this woman? Is this a New York case?
This
Or-
is in Missouri.
Oh, okay. All right.
So what she's saying is she decided to go and have unprotected sex in this man's vehicle,
Mhm.
and because of his negligence, and he didn't say, "Hey, by the way, I got HPV."
Mm.
She got injured through that sex that happened on those premises, and now Geico should pay her. That's her argument. So that makes me wonder, like, if this has happened at his house with the same
Yeah.
The house insurance.
exactly home insurance.
Home
Uh,
insurance.
Would home insurance
yeah.
have to cover that because it happened at his house?
It can happen. So okay, we should back up a little bit, right? So HPV, just for people who don't really understand what that is, it is a type of herpes. And it's very, very common.
Yeah.
Most people can have it and never even know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the sad thing about HPV or the testing for it, there is no test for men.
Yeah.
Does not exist. They never. I mean, they claim that you can, if you are under the age of 12, you can get tested. Even for women, it's like a cutoff year as well. So it's like it's not a deadly thing, although it can cause. It's been linked to cervical cancer, I
Yeah.
believe.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a bit weird. Whereas, because it's like, okay, for the guy, he wouldn't know if he had HPV because there's literally no testing for that. For that they would give to a guy to say like, oh yeah, you got.
Well, I mean, the
guy.
guy technically did test positive for it. His tumor tested positive for it.
Well, that's a tumor, but for the most part, there's no one runs a test for men for HPV. No one does
Yeah.
that unless you specifically are looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
But so he wouldn't. He probably went did his regular checkup. I hope he went to checkups.
Yeah.
And it never once came up. I mean, because they usually ask you if you're sexually active,
Yeah.
yada yada, that sort of thing, and you'll do that. So I say that's where things are a little complicated. So what you're telling me, well, because it happened in his car, even though there was no accident with the vehicle itself, but because she got it in the car, it's insured by Geico. I'm
What
disconnected because it's like, where did she get the idea to sue his car insurance for this? Like, how did that even come about?
I just have to point out one thing though. Apparently, he had knowledge that he had HPV though.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
thing. He knew he had.
So why
it.
is she suing him?
Well, that's him. Well, that's the thing. She's suing him,
All right.
but because he's covered technically by Geico because of where it happened, that's liability.
Oh,
Oh,
Lord.
my
That's
God.
liability. If you get into a car accident with a person and they're insured, right?
This planet is ghetto.
It's the insurance company that's going to be the one getting technically sued, not the person itself. Now,
Yeah.
the insurance company technically can go after the person
Yeah.
for that payment if they feel that the person is culpable because of whatever happened. In this
Right.
case, I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Jeez. How long has this been going on for?
A couple years now.
This
Hold on, see.
case?
Oh,
Because I feel
Lord.
like it's gonna set some sort of precedent, and then
Oh yeah, it definitely is.
it's like, okay, you're taking HPV and you're like making it. I mean, it is a serious thing for women, I would say. From what I understand, men are most of the carriers.
Yeah.
So it's like, but like I said, it's fucking common. It's really common, and sometimes women do get it, but nothing happens to them. So it's like, it's like, but okay, but now that you explained that, it's like it's insurance that covers you and the car and medical stuff. But the act of fucking in a car, you're fucking in a car. It's like
it happened in 2017, by the way. It happened in 2017. She was
Yeah.
going back and forth with Geico up until last year in 2021.
Mm.
And then they signed an arbitration agreement that said, okay, we're going to let a third party decide what is going to be the outcome since we cannot come to a resolution to keep this out of court.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the arbitrator comes up with, then that's what we'll go with. They
Interesting.
both signed this agreement. The arbitrator is the one that said, all right, Geico, you owe this lady $5.2 million. And Geico was like, wait a minute. Oh, what?
Yeah.
And now that's why they're just like, nah, bro. Hold up.
Where you say she's from again?
Missouri. This whole thing's in Missouri.
Missouri. Okay, so I just looked up car sex in Missouri
Oh,
laws
no.
because so there's
Oh, no.
there are laws believe it or not, there are laws in the books that you can't have sex in your car. There, I think it's like lewd public.
Yeah, like
Yes.
public indecency or something.
That sort of thing. You definitely can't have sex while you're driving. Well, that depends on who you ask.
That is true.
There are remote gadgets.
Mm.
Oh, Lance, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the case.
Yeah, so I just looked up Missouri like law. So I mean, this is what came up at the top. This is kind of weird that it goes to this. So registered sex offender.
Mm.
So a conviction can lead to a maximum of 6 months to a year in jail.
Damn.
The facts of the case may also require an officer to register as offender as a sex offender.
Mm-hmm.
That is bananas.
Note that whether or not the sex in a car is considered to take place in a public area is largely determined by the law in the state. So apparently, this is more to do with indecent exposure law in Missouri. And well, I mean, it sounds like it's like nationwide, but I'm just kind of like, what do they consider a sex offense conviction in that state? Because apparently it's a Class C felony or something like that. What does that mean? Well, you can get anywhere from like 15 days to 7 years.
Jesus.
Wow.
or a fine of $300 or $5,000.
So are you wondering if this couple, or not couple, these two people are going to be liable to get arrested and thrown in jail for this stuff?
Well, that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
did they say where they were having? Because if I were the guy, well, you know what? No, that's kind of shitty. Because when you think about it, he knew he had HPV.
Yeah.
He knew he was a carrier and he was transmittable.
Yeah.
And at least that part, I would say you should have said something,
Yeah.
because you got to give your partner a choice,
Yeah.
whether or not they want to take part in this sort of thing.
Because there's ways to protect yourself, even
Yeah.
if like, fine,
Right.
you have it. Okay, cool. I know ahead of time. Let me take this pill. Let me do this. Let me do that. There's ways to
Right.
protect yourself. There is.
Right, because that's a form of trust that you're breaking. So I could
Yeah.
completely understand where she's coming from when it comes to that, because who knows what kind of sweet talk he was.
Yeah.
We don't fucking know. And so it's like, okay, how do we parse that sort of, just kind of like, okay, figure out what the fuck you're doing with yourself. Because it's like, how is that any worse than being, like, say, HIV positive, and then you're not telling
Yeah.
someone this? So it's like, it could be just, and like I said, it can lead to cervical cancer in women,
Yeah, it
which
can.
is deadly.
Mm-hmm.
Can be deadly. And,
Mhm.
because also, not to mention, a lot of medical bills,
Mm-hmm.
stress that you put a person through, the body it's like chemotherapy.
Yeah.
It's not good,
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, okay. I mean, I get it. That I feel like this headline is a bit misleading. It's not so much she's suing Geico directly.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of ended up that way. So I guess because he ain't got no money. So she went after the insurance
Oh.
company. Damn, girl. You don't fuck the bum. I'm sorry to hear that.
That's tough.
It's tough.
That's tough.
Tough tomatoes.
Tough tomatoes.
You ever get hit by a tomato?
Yeah, she said the company.
That shit hurts.
No, someone's hit by a tomato.
Have you been hit by a tomato?
Word, like that's a
I
question.
grew up on a farm. Of course I did.
Huh?
I grew up adjacent to farms and I still didn't get hit by a tomato, bro.
That's not the same.
Who was throwing a tomato at you?
No one threw a tomato. Just fell off a thing.
Oh, and it hit you.
Lance, those
Well,
are two different things.
Yeah, I thought someone threw a tomato
Like
at
a
them
you.
things
rotten
is
tomato.
Tough tomatoes. You don't want to get hit by a rotten tomato. They smell bad. It's
Damn.
not good.
So yeah, now the case is it's gonna be decided in October
Mm.
by a jury trial.
Yikes.
Oh man, what do you think? Like, because you are a woman.
Yeah.
What do you
Let me
think about
be your woman.
Yeah. I don't know.
Would you think to sue the insurance company?
I wouldn't think to sue the insurance company. I'd sue him. I'd definitely sue him.
Maybe that's how it started.
Maybe that is how it started.
Maybe he was just like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
Geico, am I covered for this?
Yeah. And I do think it's extremely fucked up that he knew and just kept going on doing whatever he was doing. Be careful out there, folks. Like, make sure if you're
Right.
messing around with anyone, get tested.
How many other partners has he?
Yeah, how
done
many
this
other
to?
partners has he done this to? It reminds me of the fucking Charlie Sheen shit when he was HIV positive and was just going around fucking people raw, and he knew he was HIV positive
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
and didn't tell anyone. You can't do that. I mean, clearly you can.
Until he got
but-
blackmailed.
Yeah, until he got blackmailed. Like,
Yeah.
clearly you can do that. People are doing it, but it's not right to do. And
Yeah.
if she's gonna sue him, go ahead, sis. Sue him. I don't blame you. Sue the insurance company. I don't
Now
blame
she
you.
about to get paid.
As she should, because Lance is
Paid.
absolutely correct. That shit will fuck you up. Like,
Mhm,
HPV is linked to cervical cancer.
mhm,
It could kill you.
mhm.
And that's why there's vaccines now for it, or like a
Yes.
shot. Yeah,
Mhm,
because I had to get the HPV vaccine before I went to a new school when I was younger.
Yeah, you have to get it before
You
a
have
certain
to get it
age.
before, I
Yeah.
think before like 12 or 13.
Yeah. So
So
me and Avery shit out of luck.
yeah, I got it. So like,
And there's not even really a vaccine for men
no,
or for
there's not.
boys at all.
That's the thing. A
Yeah.
lot of these STDs, especially for men, they're like undetectable. So
Right.
y'all have to be very careful and get
Mhm.
tested regularly. Like, I think it's chlamydia in men. It doesn't show any signs or anything. It's either chlamydia or gonorrhea. Men show no signs of having it if you're
Mhm.
infected.
She got some bumpy lips.
Yeah. You have to be careful. And there are some
That was
STDs
good,
for
man.
women too that like you don't see any symptoms.
The way
So
you
you just
did
gotta
that
be.
reminded me of the movie How High, when they wouldn't give the guy, they wouldn't pass the blunt to the one guy in the middle because he's like,
Yeah.
"No, look at his lip,
No.
Look
look
at
at his
that.
lip,
Look
look
at
at
that.
this," and he's just like, "No."
He definitely had some sort of herpes.
Yeah.
People don't know that the bumps on your lips, cold sores, is
Yeah,
a
Mhm.
that's
type of
herpes.
herpes. There are lots of strains of herpes, people.
Mhm.
You
It's
have to
like,
be very, very careful.
yeah, it's like one of the most common thing within
Mhm.
humans. It's like herpes is a thing for everyone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
they're like, what do you mean? I was like, I don't have herpes. I was like, no, you got the herpes.
The herpes.
The herpes.
You got the herpes.
The herpes.
You got the herpes.
Yeah, get tested regularly. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Get tested regularly and be safe.
Because initially when I heard the story, I was so confused. I was like, I need way more detail than what this
Yeah.
headline is talking about. It's like, it doesn't make any sense that it was able to get that far.
Yeah.
Where now it's going federal, which if that gets contested there, we all know next is Supreme
Mhm.
Court, depending on how far that goes.
How
I
far
mean,
Geico wants to push it?
I
Yeah.
mean, at the same time, it's like, yeah, I guess Geico would have to then revise exactly what car
Mhm.
insurance
Oh, there's
will
gonna
cover.
be,
Mhm.
if Geico's found liable for this, they are going to rewrite the heck out of their policy.
It's gonna be very specific.
Yeah, very
The
specific.
car has to be. It's gonna be like you have to be using
No fucking in cars.
the.
Yeah, no
it's,
fucking
never-
cars.
it's gonna be like the car has to be being used for its intended purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
Transportation.
Transportation.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that it has to be moving, because you could literally be sitting in a car and somebody else hits you.
Yeah.
That's true.
That
That
can
is true.
happen. So they can't say the car has to be moving. But they're gonna be like, this doesn't fall under act of God.
Yeah.
Actually, I think insurance specifically says that your car is not protected against act of gods.
Really?
Mm.
Some of them do.
Wow.
A tree falls in your car, that might be an act of God if it happens during a storm.
Oh, okay.
They may not
Okay.
cover it.
Wow.
Interesting.
That's
Mhm.
interesting.
Read your policy, people.
Yeah, that too.
See what is and isn't covered.
Damn.
Yeah.
So I'm this is wild to me.
It's very wild.
This is wild to me because this is literally something. I mean, isn't this how a lot of laws get changed anyway? It's always
Yeah.
something that pops up that tests.
'Cause-
This is like let's okay. Oh, you want to fuck around? Okay.
Yeah.
Here's a very specific situation.
It's like a really specific law. Like, back in the day, they have these random laws. Like, you cannot have sex with 3 or more dildos on a Tuesday behind the deli. Something like that. Some random
Yeah,
ass
like-
law.
In Connecticut, we're not too far where we're at. Like in Connecticut, you can't kiss your wife on Sundays.
That's a law?
It's still in the books. No one enforces it, but it's still in the books
Yeah.
in
What?
Connecticut. Yes.
We should have a segment of laws
Weird
that you
ass
didn't know
laws.
that there was a
weird-ass
law.
laws.
Yeah. There's weird ass laws here, like in New York as well, that like people just like cops just not,
Yeah.
'cause jaywalking is still a thing here, right? But no one.
It
cops,
no, it gets enforced randomly.
Yeah,
When cops wanna be
when you want to
dicks.
keep up their quota for the month.
When they want to be
Mhm.
dicks. Oh, excuse me. Did you not see the crosswalk? Pull
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
I'm walking. Pull over.
I'm waiting for one of them to do something with like people on bikes because I ride my bike all the time. So it's like you ran a stoplight. I'm on a bicycle.
Yeah.
Is it
I don't.
counts?
I don't even know because the weird thing is what I've noticed while I'm on a bike is like the stoplight, but the walk sign goes on first. Then the
Depending on where you are, which intersection
Yeah.
you are, yes.
in Brooklyn, that's exactly how it works. It's like all over Brooklyn.
That must have been changed recently because they're like, let's
Yeah.
give people a chance to actually cross the road.
Yeah, so the crosswalk that comes on first. So when I see that, I just go.
Mm.
So I beat the whole traffic altogether
Mm.
because everybody stops. So
Yeah.
therefore, I'm clear to go. I'm not in danger. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, there are weird fucking things out there. Like, and I feel like this is one of those things that's going to end up being another weird thing
Yeah.
because it sounds like she has a very good case to win.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll let you know. At first, when I heard this shit, I was like, "Who is her lawyer? I need to,
Yeah.
I need to hire this person because this sounds ridiculous. Like, what does it have to do with it being in a car that I'm assuming was not moving? Well,
Yeah.
it wasn't moving, but exactly. But I'm like, And it's like, but for real though. But the thing is, it's like, how did I even end up being like, oh, let me sue the insurance company?
Yeah.
And she got into arbitration, and somebody took her serious and stuff. But like, I feel like a lot of this stuff nobody would take seriously.
I feel like a lot of stuff just went right for her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it was just like
She won,
all
like she's won
aligned.
twice.
Oh man,
She's won twice
Geico,
already.
that damn lizard, fucking up, man.
Right?
Yeah, you're about to have less lizard commercials right now.
Yeah.
They gotta
Well,
pay this lady.
$5 million is nothing.
Yeah,
to-
for
like
Geico?
what is the market cap for that fucking business?
I have no
Too
idea.
much.
Gotta be in the billions at this.
That's
point.
probably like a drop of water in a bucket.
They're like,
for
oh, I
them.
got it on my cushion.
Yeah.
I feel what they're trying to do is not set a precedent because if
Yeah.
this case
Right.
actually, like, if this wins, how many frivolous lawsuits are going to just start flooding it?
Damn, you can't even jerk off in your car after that.
No.
Imagine that, right? You just had this car. You're like,
Imagine if you get
You-
caught jerking off in a car and all of a sudden that's automatically
insurance is not gonna cover you.
your insurance is dropped. That gives your company
Cars are getting smarter now, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of sensors. Imagine you got a Tesla.
Self-driving car.
You got a Tesla. It's like, it says here you were self-driving, on the highway, and there was a rise in your blood pressure.
Mm.
So what? It says you're okay, but what happened?
I think that's actually happened where people have gotten pulled over because they were having sex in their Teslas and they had the cars on full auto drive
Oh my
Mm.
god!
on the highways and they were
God.
just going
Please,
at it.
we should let people, don't do that.
Don't do that.
It's not actually self-driving. It's close,
It's close, but it's not quite there
but
yet.
it's not self-driving.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Wow. Wow. So, well, I changed my mind. I wish her luck. I wish her luck on this whole endeavor. Hopefully it gets in there, and I'm sure this might change car insurance policies in the not good for everybody else.
Nope.
The byline:
Yeah.
Do not have sexual relations in your
Car.
vehicle.
Yeah. Moving or otherwise.
Moving,
Yeah. Moving or otherwise.
moving or otherwise.
Oh my god. Because
Use it to get from point A to point B, and then do what you got to do.
right.
Mhm.
'Cause I can see that going like I feel like they're going to have to upend car insurance
Yeah.
policies in a way where they're gonna have to now do other things. I can see it like having a domino effect, not just the sex, but
Mhm.
people who are a woman who's about to give birth, but she's in the car and it's traffic.
Yeah.
It's like what about that? Or you know what I'm saying? Or somebody got shot, they ran into the car. Like, what about that? Like,
It's really
there's
gonna
like
force them to think outside the box. Let's
Yeah.
cover ourselves
right.
in
Mhm.
every situation that could possibly go on.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anyway,
That's wild.
that's wild.
Wow.
Eh,
Your face.
Lance needs a moment.
Uh,
Lance needs a moment. He's just like, I don't understand. I don't understand.
I mean, I get it now. It's just
Hey Lance, when are you gonna get your car? You gonna get some Geico?
never now.
You gonna get Geico?
No. Apparently they don't protect you.
No, you gotta get Allstate. Are you in good hands?
Yes. I gotta get God to cover me.
yeah.
If you watch Lucifer, you'll see that.
Ooh, spoiler, sir. Spoiler.
You haven't finished?
Technically, no,
hell?
I haven't finished.
God damn.
I got like
That show got canceled and came back and you
And-
still ain't finished.
I got a half. I got like a half of the last season to go.
Oh, okay. Well, you're already seen.
I'm not the only. I'm just
Yeah, it'll
on
be
the show,
alright.
but everybody who's listening to the show, they're like, wait, what?
There's like mad memes. It's
Yeah.
like
I've not seen any of these memes, sir.
I've
Now I gotta go find these memes because I think it'll be hilarious. Lucifer memes will be great. If you've seen these memes, please send them to us.
yeah.
Send them to us on our Patreon. How do you find that Patreon again?
Go to Patreon.
Yeah, go to
Take a look at
Patreon. Tig Ol Bitties.
We should put that link somewhere.
It's
Lance,
in
we need a
our-
website.
It's in
our notes
It's in
for
our
every
notes.
episode.
Oh, I don't
It's like
remember.
linked.
Oh my god.
Yeah, people
Avery,
find it.
just-
You listen. I copy and paste. I don't know.
yeah,
So-
and I write it, and it's there. It's there every
It's
time.
there. It's there.
So
It's there every time.
apparently, it's in the notes.
Ah.
So
It's in the
please
notes.
check out our Patreon.
Check out the
Follow
show
us
notes.
on all our social medias. Let's see: TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Tumblr, and Twitter. Am I leaving any out?
Is it Facebook?
I think I said Facebook. Did I say Facebook?
I don't know.
I don't know. There's too many of them. Sites.
Anywhere
All
that
them
we have
sites.
social media, just check check it out.
The blue app.
You're bound to
Yes.
find us on there.
One of those blue apps.
You know what? Feel free to send us your topics if you want to talk about, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Yeah.
Peace. Oh, and don't have sex in your car.
Wear condoms.
That's
Yeah.
it. Do both.
Please do. You're testing. Jesus. Peace.